In the 1970s, a man walked among us, charming, intelligent, and seemingly ordinary. But beneath that exterior was a mind capable of unspeakable horrors. This is the story of Ted Bundy, one of America's most infamous serial killers. Today, we're diving deep into his psyche, the timeline of his crimes, and the chilling legacy he left behind. Born on November 24th, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont, Theodore Robert Cowell had a relatively quiet childhood. Raised by his grandparents, Ted believed his mother, Eleanor, was his sister and his grandparents were his parents. This complex early family dynamic may have shaped Bundy in ways we still don't fully understand. While he was a smart and charismatic child, Ted's early years were marked by confusion and rejection, which perhaps created the foundation for his later violent tendencies. In the late 1960s, Bundy enrolled at the University of Washington, where he studied psychology. He was known for his charm, good looks, and intellectual abilities. But during this time, something darker began to emerge. Ted was drawn to violent pornography, and he began to experience deep feelings of anger and frustration, particularly towards women. This period in his life also marked the beginning of his disturbing behaviors, from stalking women to committing small acts of violence that would later escalate. On January 4th, 1974, Ted Bundy's violent tendencies escalated into murder. His first known victim, Linda Ann Healy, was a 21-year-old university student. She disappeared from her home in the early morning hours. Her body was never found at that time. Bundy's method was calculated and planned, a brutal attack that would become a pattern. As the months went on, more women began to vanish across multiple states. Bundy's modus operandi became evident. He would often impersonate a police officer or feign injury, luring his victims into traps. His victims were typically young women, often with long, dark hair parted down the middle, an eerie signature. He showed no regard for the lives he took, only a compulsive need to continue. The police were baffled, unaware that they were dealing with one of the most dangerous and elusive serial killers in American history. Bundy's crime spree wasn't infinite. In August 1975, after a police officer stopped him for a routine traffic violation, Ted Bundy was arrested. His arrest would lead to one of the most high-profile trials in U.S. history. The evidence against Bundy was mounting, and he was eventually convicted of several murders. His trial became a media circus as Bundy, with his charm and intelligence, managed to represent himself in court, much to the shock of many. His charisma drew national attention, but his victims and their families were the true focus of this tragic chapter in history. Despite being convicted, Bundy's story didn't end with his prison sentence. In 1977, Bundy managed to escape from jail twice. His second escape was a dangerous and destructive period, during which he committed more murders in Florida. The brutal killings in Florida would ultimately lead to his downfall. He was captured once again and faced a new set of charges for the murders he committed during his escape. Bundy's case intrigued psychologists and criminologists alike. What drove a seemingly ordinary man to commit such horrific acts? Ted Bundy was known for his ability to manipulate and charm people, leading many to believe that his crimes were rooted in deep psychological trauma. Bundy himself admitted that he was driven by an insatiable desire for control and dominance over his victims. His intelligence and ability to outsmart law enforcement were also key to his reign of terror. But at the core of Bundy's psyche was a severe lack of empathy and a need for power that would ultimately lead to his death sentence. Ted Bundy's reign of terror came to an end on January 24th, 1989, when he was executed in Florida's electric chair. His last words were chilling. "I'm the most cold-hearted man alive you'll ever meet." His execution marked the end of one of the most infamous criminal cases in history. Today, Bundy's legacy is still felt, not only through the victims and their families, but also through the discussions on the psychology of serial killers and the impact on law enforcement. His case sparked debates about the nature of evil, the role of mental illness, and the dangers of charm and manipulation. Ted Bundy's story is one of tragedy, loss, and unimaginable evil. But it also serves as a reminder of the importance of understanding human behavior, the need for justice, and the resilience of those affected by his crimes. Thank you for joining us as we explored the dark mind of one of the most notorious figures in American history. If you found this story insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and remember to always stay informed.